All right, so welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
This is Conversations with the Crawleys. We do conversations about faith, family, relationships, and we happen to do recaps, reviews, and commentaries on some of our favorite shows. But this is a little different.
Confessions?
These are my confessions. No.
Can't say.
No, we ain't got nothing to confess like that. We ain't Usher.
You sure?
I'm sure. And this wouldn't be the vehicle I would choose to do it either way.
You can get some views off of that.
I'm sure I could, but that's not happening. But we've got a new season of Ready to Love coming up soon. I don't know when. They're kind of dragging their feet as far as announce it. We just know it's in this month. But we figured, you know what? We've been watching Ready to Love since the very first episode back in Atlanta. So we thought, hey, we talk about relationships. We talk about faith. We talk about family.
We do.
Why not talk about the lessons that we learned from watching Ready to Love? So,
and Married at First Sight.
And Married at First Sight.
Forget.
And Family or Fiancee.
Ooh.
And what else? Put a Ring on It. And some of them other shows that we did like one take of, like The Bachelor. Y'all remember that? We did one episode of The Bachelor. We were like, we can't do this.
I know we can learn from that.
Okay. Don't put your mouth on everything. All right. So anyway, if this is content that you enjoy, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications.
And share.
We'll see you in the comments. Consider becoming a member and checking out the merch store. So we didn't really talk about this ahead of time. We just were like,
nothing to do.
We're like, we got a little downtime. Let's do that. So for me, one of the lessons that I learned,
and this is off the cuff, we did not discuss this.
We didn't discuss this at all, right? Is watch for the red flags. If when you're dating someone, watch the red flags. Now, I'm not actually dating or out there in the dating world, but if I'm going to give you a lesson that you can take home, watch for the red flags.
So what were my red flags?
You didn't have any, baby. You were green flags all the way.
It's green flags.
Just green light all the way.
Wow.
No, for me, one of the red flags that in dating would be a lack of respect for my time. And one of the things that for me, when we first started dating was you showed up on time.
I tried.
If I said I was going to pick you up at 8,
I was ready.
You was ready. To me, if I'm telling you I'm showing up at 8 o'clock and you just hopping in the shower,
Like,
that don't work for me.
45 minutes.
That don't work for me.
Come on in. I'll be ready in 45
So you have to identify what your red flags are. What are the things in your relationship or that you look at as are deal breakers, or things that show that maybe they don't respect you the way that you respect them. So watch out for those red flags.
Well, for me, it came late. Your red flag came late. Your red flag was so late. I'm already engaged to you.
Are you talking about the wall?
Yes. So you had to go get your tux.
Yes.
And the tux wasn't correct, if I recall.
They completely messed up, wrong size and everything.
And we were getting married the next day.
The very next day.
And you were late to come and pick me up because you were there trying to pick up your tux so you wouldn't have to worry about it. Because our bright idea was we were graduating on a Friday night, and Saturday morning we were going to get married. Why? All our family was here, friends. They came for our graduation.
Yep.
So it makes sense, right?
We were from two different. I'm from Chicago. She's from the Maryland area.
Right.
So
we're already here.
Yep.
And then you get 2 out of 1 price of ticket. So we graduate. First thing in the morning, get married, all our family's here. And so we didn't have any cell phones, or cell phones weren't popular enough or cheap enough for us to own.
It's them old days, right?
And so I'm waiting for you.
We were broke college students or high school students too. So.
And I'm like, what is going on? I'm ready, right?
She was, because she was on time.
And you always told me when you were going to be somewhere, you were always there when you said you were going to be there.
Yep.
So I'm worried about you. I got everything ready. Obviously, I can't call you, so I'm just waiting for you. And I'm like, and they told us we had to be there a certain time to walk.
That's the important part. I want y'all to know that that's the important part for me.
If we didn't get there on time, we were not going to be able to walk. And so And I don't know what's going on. Can't get no updates. There's no texting. This is 1996.
Mm-hmm.
And so you finally got to my apartment and you're hot. Da, 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 da. They didn't have my tux. I was like, what? What happened? Da, 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 da. And then you proceed to punch my door. And the doors are not made of solid wood. I was like, what?
I didn't break the door.
World?
The door is fine.
What is
It's
going
probably
on?
still in that same apartment on that same
I was like, oh my God.
hinge.
What? I mean, I know you'd be upset, but when people start physically taking, like he had to take it out on something, I was like, is this a red flag? I've never seen him in a situation where you were hot. You were. I don't want to be late. But we're not going to be able to walk.
Tell the rest of it, because in 27 years, have you seen me get that angry again? Where I'm punching stuff.
Not that you're punching stuff, but you've been that angry, but you haven't punched anything.
But I'm not angry often either.
No.
So
no.
So it was a yellow flag, and because it could have turned into something if that was my character all the time.
But
I get it.
Talking for me,
I get it.
Being a woman and never seeing you upset, right? Because the whole goal, you would want to try to see people in a lot of different situations while you're dating them, you know. And granted, we were going to Bible school. It was like, I don't know who could really get you mad. We were in the streets of the city. We were in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So unless it's something racially charged or someone really, because you got upset one time. We went to Red Lobster and the girl said,
"You just tell all the times I'm just this angry guy all the time."
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. We just said because we're in Tulsa, things don't pop off. But you were like hot. It's like, why would she say that? How is she not? And I was like, it's okay.
Let me tell Let me tell that story, because it's not just, oh, she said something. I was like, oh, why she say that?
No, well, because from my perspective, I didn't think anything of it. And you had to explain to me, well, you could have taken it that I'm dating around.
Because what happened? So this is Valentine's Day. This is early in our relationship. This is not like we've been dating and going together and married and for 10 years, whatever. This is early in our relationship. It's Valentine's Day. Okay, bear that in mind. And the hostess is like, "Oh, you're back." What do you mean I'm back? You were just here with No, I was not here with anybody else. And yeah, because I hope I built up enough trust that she was like, she didn't think anything of it. No, I didn't think anything. But because because I know who I used to be. I know who I used to be. Now I wasn't that bad, right? But
you had 2 Keishas.
I did have like a couple of Lisas all at the same time.
That's right.
Lisas at the same time.
Girl with the same name.
One from New York, one from Georgia, and one back home in Chicago.
So the name Lisa.
I can pick it up. Hey Lisa, how you doing? Wouldn't be either way. All right. So anyway, for me, it was like it had the potential in my mind to put something in your mind that shouldn't have been there. So that was that. So that was one of the lessons we learned. What was another lesson that you learned from watching one of the dating shows?
I think for me, it's always a constant reminder of communicating.
Mm-hmm.
The more you can communicate and be open about your feelings or how something makes you feel, I think is important. Because as we look at Ready to Love, miscommunications or not over communicating enough, right? Or kind of like being so reserved where you're not saying anything as well or giving your intentions. I think also it translates in marriage as well. You got to continue to communicate. If you communicate it at the beginning of your relationship, middle to the very end, there should be communication.
Communication is key for any relationship. And to tag along with that, this would be like 2B, I guess.
Okay.
Would be vulnerability. And in your communication, you have to let down the walls, right? We saw, for example, in the most recent Married at First Sight, one of the reasons the couple did not make it, or at least what we've seen so far, is because neither of them really wanted to let the walls down,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you do need to present yourself vulnerable. Now that doesn't mean you just open up from day one,
No.
but that does mean that you don't keep the wall up all the way through until you turn, until you've reached your 3rd anniversary and then decide to let the walls down. You've got to let those walls down and be able to trust somebody, because here's the thing. Love does have the potential to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants to get hurt in love,
Mm-hmm.
but that is the risk that you run
Mm-hmm.
in finding out who you can and cannot trust.
Right. And I know for some people, you had to get to that point where you're saying, okay, I have these challenges in my life. And that's what I'm going to call them. I'm not going to say issues. But we have challenges in life where we're not sure if the person's going to fully accept us.
Right.
Right. And so we carry that in our dating life and we're like, oh, this is the person I want to spend my life with. I love them, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, we're still not showing our true representative, you know? And so even over the years when we've been married, there was still some things that you had to reveal and be vulnerable in that you could trust me with.
Right.
Trusted that I wasn't going to use it against you. Trusted that I was going to keep what you said.
At least not then.
But at the same time, right? That, wow, you're being vulnerable with me. That's something that you wouldn't have shared that could truly, I could weaponize.
Right.
Let me put it that way.
Right.
But deciding to say, okay, if you're going to be vulnerable with me and be open with that, then I'm going to have to keep that with my heart so that you understand that I really, truly love you. I want the best for you, and that there's healing, there's hope of progress, becoming a better person from it. Again, I've never been the type of person when anybody brings something to me that I want to cover up. Excuse me. I don't want to cover up, but I want to cover them in love, hoping that they're going to get the help, get better, and be a better person. Right. And I think that's another thing that we have to come, when we're talking about coming into a relationship, if you're a man or a woman, that at some point there has to be true vulnerability and transparency for the relationship to work.
Absolutely. Next thing I would say would be that you have to be committed to each other in spite of what family, in spite of what friends, in spite of what others are saying. You've got to make the decision to have that commitment and be connected to the person that you've chosen. Because yes, your family has been there for you before, but here's the thing. You have to make the decision for what you want, what you feel you deserve, and what you need in your life. And family doesn't always get that. Neither do your friends always get that.
That's true.
And if they're truly your friends, they'll be there for you even when they don't necessarily agree.
And I think also, especially from the standpoint of making a decision on marrying somebody, because even for me, I was like, what if I got it wrong? Like
you got it right.
So far.
For 27 years, you got it right.
We did okay.
It got it right.
Maybe we could have worked on some things and it would have been better, right? But that fear of getting it wrong, am I going to marry the wrong person? How much do I really know? Because it was a year and a half and we got married.
About a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, so, do I really know this person enough for me to do the right thing? Because I don't want to get a divorce. I don't think if anybody wants to go on marriage, like, yeah, if I get a divorce, that's going to be the greatest thing ever. I just don't. So you don't want to get a divorce.
Unless you Stedman. And you got that prenup in place. Well, you like, this is what I get.
Yeah, I don't know. But because they never got married.
No.
Okay. I was like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
moving on.
But for me, it was like, I don't want to be wrong, right? Because my parents don't know. I met you in school, so it wasn't like you were coming around my house. So no one could give me any thumbs up or any reassurance about
except the Holy Ghost.
Except for the
Holy Ghost.
It's like, what? So making that decision, and I had to be okay. If I made a mistake, it was going to be okay.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I I even went down like, is there any like big cons of why I shouldn't marry you? Or there was nothing that came up, right? Because remember, I ain't had no red flag until the day before the wedding.
It was too late then.
I was like, we don't went to marry. That's another thing. We went to marital counseling,
Yep.
premarital counseling, right? And they kind of was the first time that made me think about what are my deal breakers.
Right.
Tell me 5 things what you don't care for about this person. And I had to really think about where, we could have some issues and different things because we matched really well,
right?
In that time period that we've talked and everything.
And we had talked through a lot of things. We didn't talk through everything.
Yeah, I mean,
we had
basic.
But I mean, we had spent a lot of time talking and really getting on the same page on some things. Of course, you can do as much as you want to before you get married.
That's true.
And then after you get married, you find out, there's a whole lot of other stuff we can try and get on the same page with.
Right, because I didn't know you snored like the way you snored.
Now, you don't, I'm not the only one that snores. Now, I do snore loud.
But yeah, very loud. For someone who's never slept with anyone, so I didn't sleep with him prior to this. I didn't know he snored. And then wedding night, I was like, oh my God, I can't sleep. So it's those things that you have to like, okay, how do we get used to it? How do we overcome those things so that we can start meshing in different areas?
Yep. So what else you got?
One thing I would say from even the married couples that I didn't see that I appreciate about you and that you brought to our marriage, especially at the very beginning, about saying how much you appreciated me. And that you would say, you every day at some point, even if it was first thing in the morning and by the end of the day, how much you appreciated me and loved me. And so not coming from a home where that was normal or regular, like it happened, but I could probably name it on, like I could count it with one hand, how many times that happened through my whole childhood. And so that's something that you taught me that became a regular thing in our marriage, which I didn't see a lot in the couples that were just, marrying, meeting at the first time, is showing, like, hey, good morning, I appreciate you, like, hey, I love you. So, and I know for them, right, it's hard for them to say I love you on the first couple, weeks. But I think it kind of gave me appreciation that certain things that you're getting in your marriage, you may start taking for granted, thinking, well, everybody might be getting those things. And then you find out that no, everybody ain't getting those things. And those are great things that you showed up in our marriage that I love.
Oh,
I know, right?
All right. And I think, is that 4? I think we're on 5 now.
Yeah. So
we y'all keep track for us. But I think the last thing, and it's again, we are 27 years in, but just things that just thinking through, or insights that I got, I guess I should say. This one comes from what's his name? Rashid and Simone. If you remember from Ready to Love, there was a famous quote that they even took for their podcast now, which was ages and stages. So you want somebody that not only are you similar age, not it doesn't have to be physically, mentally, but also in the same stage of life as you, right? And I think one of the things that helped us was we had conversations about not only where we were at that point, but where we saw ourselves. And so it would be very difficult for us to, I think, to have been 27 years in and not have given thought to the stages of life that we would be going through and what we saw in each other that could help us to get there. Because we were, yes, in love, but we also thought about purpose. What is our purpose? What are we trying to do in life, right? And do those things match and do those mesh? Because those are things that you've got to figure out also in a relationship is if they want to travel and you a homebody, you don't see yourself traveling or leaving out, out the 5 block radius you grew up in, that might not be the person for you.
Right.
Right. If y'all are on 2 different ends of the spectrum as far as children, that's something else that, hey, y'all might love each other, but if y'all can't agree on that before you get married, it's only going to be worse after you get married. So,
right. And I've said this a couple of weeks ago about being considered purpose partners. It's like, we were going to Bible school, so no one just shows up in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
God, no.
You just don't wake up one day, you know what, where I want to live, and
Listen
go to school.
All our Tulsa people, we love y'all, but
Broken
Tulsa
Arrow
was not on. Tulsa was not on my radar.
Not on a black person's radar. Let me just say that for someone we lived in major cities, or most of our time was spent in major cities. I lived 30 minutes out of Washington, D.C.
And I grew up in Chicago.
And I was, Prince George's County is the richest black community.
It was. I think somebody replaced it recently.
Probably. It might have, but.
Because ain't enough upper marble to spread all around.
But at the same time, right, it was like, okay, what is your purpose? Where do you see yourself in 4 or 5 years? Who do you feel like you're called to help? What are you on this earth for?
Right.
Because those are the main things. If those don't line up, how will you stay committed in your marriage, right? Because at this point, I'm level-headed. It's not like my head's in the clouds. We're going to love each other forever. I'm like, look, dude, I'm going somewhere. God called me to something. I'm going somewhere. I have a place to be. Are you going the same direction? Because if you're going the opposite direction of me, it's no need for me to be on this journey with you if at some point we're not connecting and going the same direction.
Because if she said she was called to missionary work, I'd been like, you know what? Praise God. I'll go ahead and support you as far as sending somebody to help you feed hungry children, whatever it is. But that's not me. That's not what I'm called to do. That's not what I want to do.
Right. And I've met couples where, the spouse decided to be in ministry, and then the other spouse is like, well, I don't want to do that.
For that.
Right. So I'm going to divorce you because I feel a calling to ministry. And they're like, I'm not called. I was like, how does that work?
That might be a whole other topic that we have to talk about, because if we think about it's to me, it's not scriptural to lose your ministry. Lose your family over ministry. That don't make sense, but we'll go ahead.
Hey, so, for me, that was important, because then when times get hard and maybe I'm not feeling you the way I should, but we're committed going to the same journey, that there's something that we're supposed to accomplish together, right? And we're becoming one, then our purpose is intermingled to the point where we have to be going the same way.
Absolutely.
To get it done. So, and I think a lot of time when we're looking at Ready to Love, people don't even know where they're going. They don't know what their purpose is. And they're discovering so much of themselves that they didn't even realize that some of them weren't even ready for a relationship where they needed to heal, or they needed to discover themselves, or what they were ready for. And then when you see like Married at First Sight, they kind of like take all these tests where they're supposed to be putting people together that have common interests, and they kind of balanced interests, right? And supposed to be making this life based off of common interests, but we don't know how much of what they're saying their purposes in life is, and how it mingles together. And then you got put a ring on it, like, oh, we done been together so long, I just deserve
we gotta get married.
We gotta get married. And I tell people, just because you've been together, especially when they're becoming born again, right? They decided to take up their faith and make their faith stronger, but they've been living with somebody 5-6 years, and now that they're a believer of Christ, they're like, oh, me and dude got to get married. And I'm like,
no, you don't.
Are y'all really meant to be married? It just happened that you were living with somebody, and now that you found your faith, and
Can I take it a step further?
Yeah.
Just because you have a child together
Yep.
does not mean
Yep.
that you should be married.
Yep.
Let's just say that.
Yep.
Just because you had a child together.
I know some people ain't gonna even like that.
Oh, they not gonna like that one.
But you decided to create an individual doesn't mean that, again, are you just doing it because there's a child involved?
Mm-hmm.
Because are you going to create more turmoil, long term? Now you can co-parent.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with it, because
Absolutely.
guess what? A lot of people do. And that'll save a lot of time of divorce,
Mm-hmm.
arguing, sadness when you don't partner yourself with someone for marriage. Now, you may not have decided that person was supposed to be your child's parent.
Right.
But it happened. But you don't have to make continuous mistakes.
You don't have to make that child's parent your spouse.
Right. Because those are two different things.
Those are two very different things.
But again, just to go back and just kind of close this out, when we understand that you do have to be a whole person,
yeah.
right? Because by then you determine, I know what my purpose is. I know why I'm here on the earth. Yep. I know what I want to accomplish. So when you meet that person, you hear them out. Because I didn't automatically share those things at the very beginning at all. I'm just having conversations with you. I'm trying to get to know you and where you're going. Where's your head at? And then when it comes to the point like, oh, you serious? You talking about not dating me, but courting me?
Yeah.
Then reveal your heart to me.
Right.
What are you planning to do in 5 years?
Yep.
And don't be like, oh, that sounds good. No, if you ain't
on that same page,
you ain't know.
We ain't writing a book together.
Right. And so I think for me, understanding like some of the things like, did I do this right? Should I have done this? Mm-hmm. And really realizing at the end of the day, I can say 27 years, not just saying, oh, it was just so much love. Having the babies, it was just so much love. It was more like, I'm so thankful I was committed to my purpose.
Yep.
And committed to the purpose of our marriage and our relationship. And in our relationship, we just done as much things of purpose that it compelled us when we had hard times and we didn't want to be together. Our purpose kept us driving for us to work on things, to be together.
Absolutely. All right. So look, that was it. That was the 5 things, 6, 29, however many we gave y'all. Y'all keep track. That we learned from some of the relationship/dating shows. Let us know in the comments what yours were. And then we're going to do more content like this too as well. We're going to do a lot more just kind of these conversations about relationships, not just about what we've done, learned from shows, but just things that we've gleaned in our time together and helping other couples and helping folks like you. Yeah,
so put in the comments, what would you like to hear a podcast or us to come on YouTube and talk about concerning family or relationships.
Yep. All right. Well, look, that's it for this one. We'll see y'all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.
Bye.